If you're a cat owner, you know exactly how it is. We obsess over every little detail of our cats' lives, right? But what if one of the simplest things we choose for them, their food bowl, is way more important than we ever thought? Today, we're going to look at the hidden dangers that might just be lurking in your cat's bowl.
Okay, let's just dive right in. I want you to take a second, picture your cat's food and water setup, and really ask yourself this question. I know, it sounds a little dramatic, doesn't it? But today, we're going to unpack the real science and the hard facts behind what actually matters. And trust me, it might not be what you think.
So first up, let's tackle a term that has become a huge buzzword in the cat world, whisker fatigue. If you're a serious cat person, you've definitely heard of this. You've probably even worried about it a little bit. So what is it exactly? Well, the whole idea is that a cat's whiskers, which are these incredibly sensitive, complex sensory tools, get totally overstimulated and stressed out from constantly bumping against the sides of a deep bowl. And, on the surface, that kind of makes sense. Those whiskers are like little radar dishes, helping them navigate their world. And look, this isn't just some random theory from the internet. As you can see from this quote from a 2020 research paper, it's a concept that a lot of professionals and owners take pretty seriously. The thinking goes that this constant, unwanted touching could cause some real distress for our cats. And of course, whenever there's a potential problem, you know the market is going to have a solution. You've seen them online and in pet stores, these wide, shallow bowls, designed specifically so a cat's whiskers don't touch the sides. They promise a happier, more comfy mealtime. But do they actually work? Is the problem they're supposed to solve even a real thing? Okay, let's get to the good stuff. What does the science actually say? In 2020, two researchers, Jennifer Slovak and Taylor Foster, decided it was time to put this whole whisker fatigue idea to the test. They set up a study to see if these special whisker-friendly bowls really changed a cat's behavior in any way that mattered. The way they did it was actually pretty simple, but really smart. They got 40 cats involved. The owners filmed their cats eating from their normal, everyday bowls. Then they switched to one of these new whisker-friendly dishes for a week and filmed them again. After that, the researchers just sat down and compared all the videos and the data. All right, so what did they find? The first thing they looked at was how long the cats spent eating. I mean, if whisker fatigue was a real stressful thing, you'd expect them to eat faster and get out of there, right? Well, the result was absolutely no change. Okay, next up, how much food did they eat? Maybe a more comfortable bowl would make them want to eat more? Well, nope, no difference there either. And what about for those of you with messy eaters? Did the fancy bowl help keep the food in the dish? You guessed it, no significant change. So the study found zero evidence that whisker stress was affecting any of these basic eating habits. It's starting to look like this whole thing might just be a myth. But wait, here's where it gets really interesting. There was a twist. When the researchers gave the cats a choice, offering both bowls side by side, they found a 74% probability that the cats would choose the new whisker-friendly bowl. So, what does that mean? Even though it didn't change how they ate, they seemed to like it more. The study concluded that the whisker stress theory wasn't supported. But hey, maybe cats just prefer eating off a wider plate. So, if whisker fatigue isn't the urgent crisis we all thought it was, does that mean we can just stop worrying about our cat's bowls? Oh, absolutely not. In fact, it means we've been focusing on the wrong thing entirely. It's time to shift our attention away from the whiskers and onto the real evidence-based dangers that truly matter. This is the key question, isn't it? We've busted a popular myth, but that just opens the door to understanding the real, scientifically backed risks that could be hiding in your cat's dining area. And I gotta tell you, these risks are way more serious than a few bent whiskers. The real danger, it looks like this. These are bladder stones, and they are a surprisingly common and incredibly painful condition for cats. They form when mineral crystals in their urine clump together, and they can cause blockages that are life-threatening medical emergencies, especially for male cats. So how do we stop this from happening? Well, it boils down to three really critical things that are all connected to your cat's bowls: the material the bowl is made from, how hydrated your cat is, and, believe it or not, the exact spot where you put their food and water. Let's break each one down. First up, materials. You see those cheap plastic bowls everywhere, right? Well, they're a total hygiene nightmare. They get scratched up so easily, and those tiny scratches become the perfect breeding ground for nasty bacteria. Plus, some can leach chemicals. Ceramic is definitely a step up, but the moment it gets a tiny chip or a crack, it's just as bad as plastic.
The clear winner here, hands down, is stainless steel. It's tough, it's non-porous, and it is super easy to get properly clean.
And hey, this isn't just my opinion. This is the consensus among vets. Their number one priority is preventing illness. And the simple fact is, stainless steel is the best material for stopping germs from growing and making sure your cat has a safe meal every single time. The takeaway here is pretty clear. Okay, let's move on to the second danger. And honestly, this might be the most critical one of all: dehydration. You can have the cleanest, shiniest bowl in the world, but if your cat isn't getting enough water, their risk of developing those painful bladder stones just skyrockets. This slide really gets to the heart of the matter. You have to remember, cats evolved as desert animals. They have a naturally low thirst drive because they're designed to get most of their water from their food. Think about it. A mouse is about 70% water. A bowl of dry kibble? It's about 10%. That is a massive difference. A diet of only dry food can lead to chronic, low-level dehydration, which is a huge risk factor for urinary issues. Wet food, on the other hand, is so much closer to what they'd naturally eat. And the consequences of dehydration can get really serious really fast. This chart shows what veterinarians look for. It starts off subtly, but by the time you see something like a permanent skin tent, that's when you gently pull up the skin on your cat's back and it doesn't snap right back. Your cat is already in serious trouble. That term, hypovolemia, just means their blood volume is dangerously low, which can lead to shock. Knowing these signs is absolutely vital. Okay, so we know we need a stainless steel bowl and we need to get more moisture into their diet, but we're not quite done. The third piece of this puzzle is the environment itself, the actual setup of their feeding station. There are some super simple, actionable things you can do right now to make their dining experience so much healthier.
Ever wonder why your cat begs to drink out of the sink? It's not just them being quirky and cute. Well, it is cute, but it's pure evolutionary instinct. To their wild ancestors, a puddle of still water was a sign of danger. It could be full of bacteria. But running water, that sound and movement signaled that it was fresh, clean, and safe to drink. A simple water fountain taps right into that ancient instinct and encourages them to drink more.
So let's bring it all together. Here is your ultimate checklist for a healthier cat. Number 1, get stainless steel bowls. Number 2, separate their food and water. This is a big one people miss. In the wild, cats don't eat right next to their water source because they don't want to contaminate it, so just put the water bowl in a different room. 3, make wet food a priority. 4, get a water fountain. And finally, number 5, learn the signs of dehydration. This is your blueprint. So, we've debunked the myth of whisker fatigue, and we've uncovered the much more serious, science-backed dangers tied to your cat's bowl, their diet, and their hydration. The big takeaway here is that understanding our cat's deep evolutionary instincts is the real key to giving them the best care. Which leaves us with one final thought. Now that you've solved the mystery of the food bowl, what other ancient feeling instincts are hiding right there in your living room, just waiting to be understood?